justice.
No streets.
No justice.
No streets.
We say it as an invocation. We say it as a demand. We implore the masses who listen to us to understand that there cannot be peace on these streets until we get something that looks like justice.
Yeah.
Whether it's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, up north, in the woods, by the lakes, in the small towns, where black and brown and indigenous people still suffer under the yoke of white supremacy. No justice.
No streets.
No justice.
No streets.
And we mean that. We mean it here and we mean it today. Welcome to George Floyd Square. George Floyd Square, named after a man who was killed 160 steps from where we stand right now. A man who has yet to receive his justice in a neighborhood that has suffered over-criminalization, disenfranchisement, over-policing, and other systemic abuses that led to his death and the death of black and brown and indigenous people throughout this state. That is why we say no justice.
No streets.
No justice.
No streets.
I welcome you here, but I'm not happy that you're here. Because if you stand in here, that means you still have to stand here to demand justice for your people. You have to stand here and demand answers for why your people are chased down and killed, murdered. And it's all in a day's work for the status quo. And yeah, we got a lot of attention. George Floyd Square can be known as the epicenter of a global social justice movement.
Yeah.
But while they looking at us and hearing us right now, we hear you up north. We hear you in St. Louis County. We hear you down in Sandstone. We hear you in Virginia. We hear you in Portland. We hear you in Chicago. We hear you in New Orleans. We hear you because our voices are saying the same thing. Stop killing us. Stop killing us. Stop killing us. No justice.
No street.
I welcome you here. I am so proud to stand with you in solidarity, not just in Minnesota, solidarity with people in other states, people across the country, people around the world. I'm telling you, they are listening. They are watching. Y'all, the world is watching us. The world is watching us. The world is watching us. Show them how we do. Show them we not taking it. Show them that we tired. Show them that we've had enough. Show them. Tell them. Each and every one of us has this moment right now to meet this moment. I don't think we're going to get another one like this in our lifetime. Meet this moment. We are standing right here on stolen Dakota land. Right here. Stolen land, stolen lives, and we suffer. We suffer, y'all. We suffer. We suffer. And so we say no justice.
No street.
No justice.
No street.
No justice.
No street.
Justice for Brianna. Justice for Ahmad. Justice for George. Justice for Jeremiah. Justice for Stefan. Justice for Jamar. Justice for Marcus. Justice. The law. They all are relatives. They're all our people. And we tired. We tired. And yet we strong because we get strength from each other.
That's right.
We get strength from each other. So we're strong. So we stand here in solidarity, saying it loud. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets? And until we get something that look like justice, y'all better let them know each and every day, because the world is watching. Every nook and cranny of this state, every street, every valley, every little patch of woods is gonna know that they cannot continue the way that they have continued. Nigh on 500 years on this land. They can't. We tired, but we strong. Welcome. I want y'all to listen to the strong voice of this brother.
How you doing, everyone?
Here.
Just want to start us off with a fuck 12. Fuck 12. That's the sound of the people who rose up in May to smash this white supremacist fascist state and the fucking police who enforce this order. So when we talk about global solidarity, we're talking about solidarity across Turtle Island. We're talking about solidarity with the movement in Chiapas, in Bolivia, in Chile, up north, so-called Canada. They're fighting against the same white supremacist bullshit, the same capitalist colonizers who are destroying lives in this region that we call Minnesota. Remember, the Iron Range, Anishinaabe homeland. Right now, our Anishinaabe comrades are fighting Line 3,
That's
the
right.
evil colonial imposed pipeline that's destroying wild rice, destroying native ecosystems. For what? For the profit of the few who will exploit the many. So we're here to talk about what 12 represents. We say fuck 12 because 12 is your boss. 12 is your fucking landlord. 12 is the racist dipshit with the gun. But it's also the CEO. It's also the colonizer who came here in 1492. So we want to hand it over to some of the comrades who came from the Iron Range. This is an area that has a long storied history of labor militancy, working class power. In 1916, the Mesabi strike, organized by the industrial workers of the world, they took on the bosses, the scabs, the police, to fight for a better world, for a world where wages actually allowed people to live. So now we need to think about what's happening now. Why are men and women and others being gunned down in the street just because they want to live? It's bullshit. So we need to keep going. We need to set fire to more fucking precincts. We need to say fuck 12, fuck the police, fire to the prisons, all of it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give this over to some of the comrades with Voices for Ethnic and Multicultural Awareness. They've been organizing up north for justice for Esteban, justice for Jeremiah, justice for all those who are not named, who have been murdered and brutalized by the white supremacist pigs up there.
So first coming up, give it up for Sarifia. So, wait, shit, did I say that right?
Hello. As she said, I am Sarafia. I am actually originally from Texas. I've lived on the Iron Range for about 22 years now. Basically, I'll tell you first a little bit about our organization, VIMA, Voices for Ethnic and Multicultural Awareness. It's a grassroots organization that we started following the murder of George Floyd up on the range. People of color are very underrepresented on the Iron Range. And so we decided that we were gonna stand up and be a voice for people of color on the Iron Range, and really anyone who experiences discrimination of any kind up there, because it runs rampant. I liken the Iron Range to the Wild West, because it's kind of like this hidden corner of the world that people don't see. And you know, out out of sight, out of mind. And so there's just mess. There's you know, the police, the sheriffs, they kind of just have, not kind of, they just have free reign to do whatever the hell they want to do there, and they just get away with it. An example most recently is Esteban Eliaf. He was a 19-year-old kid. He was funny, he loved animals, he loved his mama and his sisters, and he was chased down into the woods by 2 sheriff's deputies after they released a canine on him, after they tased him, and then finally shot him. He was an unarmed 19-year-old boy. I know that a 19-year-old is considered a man in society's eyes, but he was a kid. He was just a kid. He had a ticket ready to take him home to his mother in Washington, and he didn't get to take that trip because he was gunned down in the woods with no witnesses, of course, no body cams, no video on any of the police vehicles, and we still have no answers as to what happened in those woods, and we never really will. More. we never will, because the only people left alive to tell us about it are the police who gunned him down, and so we'll never know what really happened to Esteban. And so, we're calling for answers, we're calling for justice. There's nothing that they can say to us that can justify murdering this boy in the woods, this unarmed kid in the woods. There is not a single thing they can say to us that could justify that. And so, we've been in the streets there just calling for justice, and doing what we can, trying to make noise, trying to be heard, trying to draw attention to the Iron Range and the things that are happening there. We have Jeremiah Uti, who was America's Samoan man. He was 29 years old. He disappeared in the woods in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. The last person to see him alive was an Itasca County sheriff, and he has nothing to say about what happened to this man. He was an amazing friend of mine. Jeremiah was just he was just this big guy. Like, when you first see him, you could see him coming towards you, and he could probably be a little intimidating, but they say the eyes are the window to your soul, and when you look in his eyes, you just know that his soul is pure. But he's not with us anymore, and the Itasca County Sheriff's Department refuses to really investigate what happened to him, and so we still have no answers for Jeremiah either. And this is what happens to Black and brown people on the Iron Range. They disappear, they lose their lives, and there's no effort put into finding out what happened to these people. Like, these are sons and brothers and uncles and cousins and friends. And I don't know, I guess I just can't, sometimes it feels like we're all alone up there. It's like the Iron Range is just this spot that is invisible to the rest of the world, and no one really cares what's going on up there. And just seeing you all here, like, it's kind of overwhelming, but I guess that's our main goal, is just to get the attention up there that we need to show that we're struggling up there. It is hard. It is so hard for people of color up there. It's almost impossible to live on the Iron Range and hang on to your culture. It's a consistent uphill climb to be true to your culture, to be true to your ethnicity, and to live on the Iron Range, because it's a way of life. The racism, the discrimination, all of the preconceived notions have been stitched into the way of life up there. And so we're not just fighting against ideas people have, we're fighting against a way of life that they've had for years and years and years. which is crazy because the Iron Range was built on people from different areas, different people that came together and at some point learned how to live together with each other. And I'm talking about like groups of people that hated each other because of their different ethnicities that figured out a way to come together. And so it's just really strange to me that now when we're, you know, in this time and we're calling for justice and we're calling for equality, you know, and we're out in the streets screaming at the top of our lungs for justice and equality, that they just don't understand. It's crazy to me, but I don't know if there's anything else I have. I just wanted to tell you guys that we're there. Thank you.
Thanks so much for speaking your truth and telling us about what's going on. Because you're right, in a lot of ways, it's like, we don't even know. It's like you're hidden out there.
Yeah.
And if you think of something else you want to come and say, you can always come back.
Okay.
There's not much I can say to follow that, so I just want to thank you again. The next person I'm going to invite up from Bima is Salma. Right? Salma. Sorry. Salma, I don't think I met you. Sorry. Thank you, Salma.
By the way, you'll be speaking, Salma. You're welcome. Here's your heads up.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot to say to follow that. Just a couple things. I moved to the Iron Range about 6-7 months ago for a fellowship, but I'm originally from here. This is my home. I look around and I see people that are my comrades, people that are my friends in this battle, in this movement that we're in, and I feel a sense of sorrow, but also a sense of immense gratitude and just grounding that I feel right now. Sarifia, I want to respond to something that you said earlier that like stuck with me. You said that people on the Iron Range from different ethnicities come together. They came together to strengthen white supremacy, you know?
This is true.
They came together because it was easier to pull other white people in than it was to accept minorities, right? And people
Absolutely.
of color. So I think that this country has never, and we know this, I'm telling this to a group of people that already know this, but you know, we're never gonna find peace, you know? White people are never gonna find peace. This country, the snow that y'all see on the ground that's melting is the blood of Black and Indigenous people in this country.
That's right.
That's literally what it is.
That's right.
And, you know, in my culture, I'm Somali American, we have this thing where it's like if you kill the life of one innocent person, that curse will follow you till the end of your days. It'll follow you to your grave. And this country is cursed and it's plagued with the deaths of so many people. So how do we go forward? Where do we go from here? How do we move on? We can't. White people have never addressed it. I'm not gonna say we, because that ain't got nothing to do with me, you know? I didn't do that. But it's just it's insane. And you know, one thing about me is I'm an abolitionist, so I don't believe in the prison industrial complex. I don't think it makes us safer. I don't think police makes us safer. Literally, fuck
Yes.
12. Fuck 12. They are the biggest gang in America.
Yes.
They are the most funded gang in America.
That's right.
Okay? They're talking about the Crips and the Bloods. No, let's talk about the cops. Let's talk about that. And you know what? I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's a painful irony. And I wore this sweatshirt today. It says Black Muslims Matter. I wore it because, you know, I have a lot of friends that are locked up. I have friends that I haven't seen in years and I miss dearly. And white supremacy stole them from me, you know? White supremacy stole them from me. The prison industrial complex stole them from me. And, you know, I've just been thinking a lot lately about, you know, when we're out here and we're fighting for people that have been killed by police and we're fighting for the liberation of us all, I think we need to include people that have been intentionally hidden from us, that are behind those walls that we don't see, that we don't think about often because of what they're going through, whatever. I think it's really important to remember that, you know? And we have this idea that people that are behind those walls did something to be there. That's not the truth. They don't put white people behind bars. Not at the rate that they put people of color behind bars. So I just want you guys to remember that. And if you forget everything I've said else today, just remember that. And as you start to have conversations about abolition and fuck 12 and defund the police, remember that the prison industrial complex is inevitably tied to that. So none of us is gonna be free until we're all free. And I need y'all to remember that too.
That's right.
Because we need to stop having these ideas about, you know, who deserves true peace and justice and liberation and all of that. Because again, we're all tied together and we're all in this fight together. And one last thing, I know there's some white people in the crowd. I gotta say this. I'm really tired of y'all doing your little performative activism. I'm really tired of y'all thinking and reflecting. How long have y'all been thinking and reflecting? Seriously, how long? I need y'all to do a little more. I really do. I need you guys to step up. I need you guys to be on the front lines. I need you guys to put your bodies on the line, protecting people literally. I need you to open your purse, because liberation is not cheap.
That's right.
I need you to decenter yourself, because it's not about you and it's not about your guilt and it's not about anything like that. We're literally fighting for our lives. So I'm sorry if I don't have time to coddle you or your feelings. I really don't.
That's right.
So yeah, but again, I appreciate every single one of you. I don't want to, like I said, I haven't been organizing on the Iron Range for long, and I don't want to take away from that. But yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Selma. And you're right, everything you said, that's so true. It's
Yeah.
like, thank you everybody for being here, but being here is not enough. That is the bare minimum. And think about all the people that are not coming to these sorts of things.
That part.
We gotta get them, right? You gotta get your people. You gotta call all of them out. And not just calling them out, because you're right, guilt is not a good motivator.
That's right.
It's not sustainable at all. Nobody's gonna go around moving around with shame. It centers themselves. You're absolutely right. Because if you're doing something to absolve yourself, what the fuck? That's about you. Anyway,
That's right.
sorry. You just made me think about it. Fucking hate that shit. Saw a lot of white guilt at the beginning of the summer, and you know what that did? That swept the fucking road. Thanks for sweeping the road for one day. No, so I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad about that day that 100 white people showed up to sweep a road. All right. Anyway, thank you. Accomplices, not allies.
Yeah.
We're the
Yes.
people that are in this struggle with us, that are here fighting together, not just standing on the side and being like, I'm trying to learn and understand this terrible thing happening to you. No, that's not enough. You can start there. You can start there.
Don't stay there.
But don't fucking stay there. That's the first step. And if you're uncomfortable, good. It's
Yes.
uncomfortable.
Get
This
used
shit's
to it.
fucked up. There's no parsing words about that. It's fucking uncomfortable. But you gotta have it in between. You can't be uncomfortable forever, because again, guilt, not a good motivator. Shame, not a good motivator. Being uncomfortable forever fucking sucks. Think about everybody else's life who have been uncomfortable their whole fucking life living in white supremacy. We got some more speakers from VEMA. Next up, give it up for Jay.
Thanks. This is Vima here. I'm just Jay. I'm also an individual that stays on the Iron Range. You know, I've heard, I'm so glad to be here today because this is my first time at a protest. We've had a couple on Iron Range, but what I see here, and everybody's looking for the solution. Well, here's the solution right here. You got to remember, this is just part of a puzzle that's being put together over the course of time to make the whole puzzle. This is just the small stitch in it, because we got to go all the way back. You know, God bless you, George Floyd. I bet you if somebody would have told him that day, hey, you're going to be a martyr. You're going to go down in history. What you think he would have said? Not me, possibly, but you are. You're the reason why, part of the reason why we're standing here right now. Now, I'm originally from Chicago, but like I said, I live on the Iron Range. But it affects here, what happened here affect me up there.
That's right.
Because see, like one of my signs said, I'm not saying it like this or too, like Lil Baby said, this shit is bigger than black and white. Now you look at all these colors standing out here looking for answers. You got the answers right here because you're standing here today. Me, personally, 61 years old, I am compelled to be here. Because see, I remember back in Alabama when they first started doing the marches, when Rosa Parks decided she wasn't going to sit down no more.
Yeah.
And now you're standing here saying, we're not going to take it anymore. We done
right.
turned, what is this? Speedway in the people's way. So you can't tell me there ain't no power in the people. People just got to stay focused on one thing. And I'm about to say this here. King said it himself. He said black folks got to learn, and I'm going to put it like he said it. Negroes got to learn to stick together. And see, that's what we got to do. We got to come together as one. You understand me? As one. Long as we keep claiming this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, it's going to keep us divided and separated. That's the problem right there. We can focus on one issue, and we know what that issue is. You got to stop killing people of color. You got to stop running around here like you fucking Matt Dillon or somebody, or Elliot Ness. See, you work for us. See, they forgot. They work for us. We are the taxpayers who pay their bills, who give them their paychecks. So how can we continue to allow somebody to do this to us? When that happened to George Floyd, when he said, I can't breathe, mama, I can't breathe. See, I felt that right here. All the way on Iron Range, I felt that right here. And I'm still feeling it. That's why I'm standing here today. We got to keep connecting this cloth together. You ever seen a beautiful bowl of salad? How it look? You got all your green colors, your vegetables, your tomatoes. That salad bowl looks beautiful, doesn't it? That's what this looks like right here. Keep that in mind when you walk away. That's all I got to say.
Woo. Thank you, Jay.
Say his name.
Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd.
George Floyd. Yeah, say his name.
George Floyd.
Say his name, Jeremiah Uti.
Jeremiah Uti.
Say his name. Say his name, Esteban Elioff. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. All right, we got another speaker from Viva. Give it up for Nathaniel.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you guys for inviting us, all the beautiful people here. I appreciate that. I'll try to be short. Unfortunately, I didn't get to know Jeremiah much, but when I heard from him, he's a good man. Never met Esteban, but what I heard from his mother, the pain that she has losing a child and trying to explain to people how to treat people like decent human beings, we have to explain that. I can't understand it in 20 anything. It's got nothing to do with color. Why do I have to explain how to treat a decent human being as a decent human being? I don't understand how hard that is. This young man got killed in the woods. Outside of him pulling out a gun, there's no reason for him to have to die that way. And their family have to pay that way. And listen to all the comments that's made to try to dehumanize him. Like he was less of a person if he stole something out of a store. That warranted his death. I can't understand this. Up on the range, it's like she said, it's out nowhere, nobody knows about it. We out here fighting about why the schools have school on Martin Luther King Day, a national holiday.
That's right.
How that affects people of color and their children. How my son has to come and be like, why do we have school on Martin Luther King Day? Now I gotta go explain to him how stupid this is. like we gotta actually take the time to continue to explain stuff to people who act like they don't understand these simple concepts of love, compassion, empathy. I mean, why do we have to explain that? You don't know how to treat somebody? I don't understand that. And the police, where did we begin? Why do they keep doing it? No, why do we keep allowing them to do it? That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
And they say they burn down the police. Like, well, we supposed to care why? Why
That's
should
right.
we? They just seem not to care about us.
That's right.
Our lives matter. Your lives matter. I can't imagine if the police killed one of my children. They'll have to build a whole new Virginia, Minnesota, Hibbing, Minnesota. I don't want to hear these excuses. Well, we got to do an investigation for what? They literally killed this man in front of everybody and see that they killed this man, and they still got people making excuses for that. Oh, he did this.
Great job, you see that?
That's right. So we on the range. We trying to fight for this stuff. We trying to stand up for people that can't speak. It's really bad. I appreciate you guys for coming and supporting us and giving us this platform to speak on. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Floyd. This is a movement led by the youth in the streets. If any of the young militants out there want to speak on what is happening right now in so-called Minneapolis, what is happening in the revolutionary abolitionist struggle, please come up. But I can explain a bit about what's going on, because we know that lawmakers, the pigs, they control the politicians, and the politicians control the pigs. We don't trust either of those motherfuckers. We
right.
are building autonomous power from below. So when we hear about the autonomous zone, George Floyd Square, we hear about sanctuary encampments. Those are projects, initiatives by people for the people.
That's right.
It's not about profit. It's not about clout. If you're a clout chaser, get the fuck out of here. It's not about any sort of status. It's about meeting basic needs. It's about survival programs. This is what the Black Panther Party talked about in the 1960s. Chairman Fred Hampton was 21 when he was murdered by the pigs and the FBI. He said, you can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail the revolution. So we're talking about prison abolition. We need to free them all. We need to set fire to this entire fucking plantation system of wage slavery, illegal detainments, all of this shit. Abolish ICE, abolish the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But we only can do that through organizing in the streets. So we're going to give it to a comrade who wants to say a bit about that.
How Tasayo Mekayapelo Swazion Han Oyante. How my name is Tasayo, I'm from Pine Ridge. First thing I wanted to say though is there was this very short discussion about how this is Dakota land. That is not true. There is no ownership of the land. There never was. The Dakota are the peoples of this land.
Yeah.
And they had the responsibility of defending this land, protecting one another. And now you're in Dakota land and you still have the same responsibilities to that land. The same responsibilities to one another. And I had to make that very clear. Sorry about that first.
Thank you.
I have a couple things to say. I wrote something the other day here that's similar in the context and in the spirit of, I believe in anti-colonialism, abolition, and I believe a new change is needed beyond that, the simple ideas of land and ownership. I believe abolition in the fullest extent, and I believe that the values that we have is not owned or dictated by them. We are facing genocide beyond our physical existence. Evil men in suits, evil pigs in badges, they do not see us. They only see numbers. They do not see human life. They steal from it. They dilute the waters, poison our Mother Earth, and they tear at her skin in the search of oil. These Wasichus do not see life. They do not live life. They fear it. And with it, they fear the people. They believe in no family, only the dollar. These jackals have no true concept of value. They value trinkets and thin pieces of paper. They project these shallow, meaningless values. They tell us what we must think and what we must do. These men are not oracles or prophets. They are only human. If not, they are only parasites. They are nothing but infantile brutes who only understand violence and fear. These men are not men. They are snakes. And it can come in any color, sex, or creed. They're deeply bothered inside and consumed by greed and individualism. And they'll offer answers with no solutions. They'll shoot down nature. They'll claim their own individualistic importance at the top of the food chain. They do not see equal value of existence. They do not value life. From the day we step into this capitalistic hellhole, we are given artificial value. From our pigment to our genitalia. And in school, they give artificial value to our intelligence. At work, they give artificial value to our labor. They shove their values down our throats and expect us to bow and throw parades in their presence. They expect us to expand their control and value. We are not them. We do not have the same values as them. Our values are of life, of nature, of the land. Our values are not limited by selfish individuals. Our values are intolerant to intolerance. Our values has room for all walks and values, but of those of hierarchy. Our values may differ, but fundamentally are the same. We value life in its totality. We value family, blood, tighter and extended. We value an existence greater than oneself. We value our Mother Earth and all of our relatives.
Yes.
Those are just mere words, really. The truth is much deeper than those words that I put on the page. The actions must follow these words.
Yes.
These actions are happening now in the cities. They've never stopped happening. When I say we are facing genocide, we are facing war at this current moment. We cannot look at this like it is in the past, in the history. They already talk about indigenous folks like it's history, like it's not happening currently. We are still here, and we'll always be here. Right now, in this last summer, we've seen many different battles, many different fronts really come out. And I mean, I must say, like right now, when I think of it, when I saw this summer, we saw the true force of capitalism beat down on the houseless. They face the true reality of what capitalism tries to achieve, to diminish people, to make their existence minimal as possible unless there's value out of them, artificial value. We cannot follow their ideas of value no longer. We have to understand where we are connected. These actions and fight against fascism, besides in the streets, happen inside of our residence, our workplaces, and our schools. A prime example of this is the Houseless Union at Extended Stay. That is a collectivization of individuals deciding that we have power in our community and one another. We have power in our labor. We have power in our existence. Up north, line 3. I've been up there a couple times too. And I think about the pipeline and I know the black snake is a sign of something much greater. The black snake is what we see is supposed to be the doom of Turtle Island. The black snake, if the pipeline goes through, I want to make sure everyone understands this reality. If the pipeline goes through and it spills in the Mississippi River, no one will have clean water in Central America.
That's right.
This is a threat that is much bigger than anything else, really, for right now. I mean, it's genocide. Every single part is a threat. Every single day. If they're forcing you at work, they force you to do X, Y, Z, and they underpay you, you're struggling to get by. That's not right. That's not right. If they push you upon the streets, they push you because you are black, because you are red. That's not right. The white supremacists have their tools to protect private property. That is what it always has been. These pigs do not see color. These pigs do not see color. They're fucking murderous bastard monsters that have no soul in the first place. Fuck them pigs. Fuck them pigs. Up north at line 3, there was an indigenous, there was a reservation cop. A reservation cop making arrests, protecting the black snake. He not just betrayed his people and his lands. He betrayed himself.
Yeah.
I went up to that man and I asked, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And he says, I have to protect my people. He doesn't understand protecting his people. He understands protecting himself. He lives in fear. He doesn't believe in the people. The pigs never believed in the people. This idea that we need police to keep us safe, that's some fucking bullshit. They're scared. They're scared. And yeah, I don't know. I was just popping off. I didn't really have any actual words. I don't actually have any words. But honestly, the fights are everywhere. Everywhere. Get involved. Go into your communities and find the answers. Rent strikes. Fuck them landlords. Fuck them scabs. Throw the cop in your head. Right. Take this war everywhere. It is everywhere. And with that, with the perfect hate for my enemy, I have my perfect love for my Ollante, my family. Palamia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josiah.
We got another comrade who wants to speak on the revolutionary struggle in the streets.
I'm gonna stand over here because I'd like to take off my mask. I've been here since day one, and honestly, this is really about us as people. We need to figure our shit out. Like, I don't know how to explain this shit, but we cause our own self-hate. We have self-hate in ourselves, and this is a lot of the reason why we're in this position in the first place, because we don't know how to value ourselves. In our homes, daily, we struggle with emotions and physical and emotional shit, you know what I'm saying? I get it. Life sucks. It's a pain in the ass. I lived here for 10 years. I'm illegal. I just got out of immigration myself. You know what I'm saying? This ain't even my country. But when George Floyd got killed and all that, I was here. I'm well known around here, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't do this for myself. I do this for all of you, because at the end of the day, what I realize is if no one does it for themselves, then you gotta do it for yourself, you know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it for everybody I know that has somebody that they can't stand up for. And shit, like, it's deep, you know what I'm saying? We do die faithfully every day. This gang banging shit, this drug dealers, this fucking capitalism, the cops, fucking everything, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what it is. Y'all live this shit. We don't live anything much different. We're neighbors, you know what I'm saying? I'm just glad that we're actually growing from what we've been through, you know what I'm saying? This is not easy. This is not easy to even talk to some people, because I know people that don't even like their own skin tone, because how we act as people, how we treat each other, how we communicate. We don't communicate with each other, and that needs to change. This summer, I hope we do a lot of more collective development, because we need it. We most definitely need it.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers getting crazy out here. Y'all saw them storm the Capitol. Yeah. We held our ground, you know what I'm saying? They killed George Floyd. We had to show our numbers, you know what I'm saying? We ain't act out. Yeah, we acted out, but we ain't do anything reckless or too reckless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we did what we had to do, you know what I'm saying? It's killed to be killed in this world, but I'm glad that y'all out here supporting and still doing y'all thing. Keep y'all heads up. Say no to drugs. If y'all smoke weed, let me know. That's on the side note.
Thank you so much. Hell yeah.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
So we keep speaking at you, but there are ways you can actually throw down for these essential, necessary struggles. One way, this autonomous zone. We like to say it's an autonomous zone, but the pigs, they don't respect that, because they fundamentally see this as a threat to the entire system. The fucked up thing is, the day before the pigs in St. Louis County murdered Esteban, they rolled in deep on December 4th here to brutalize a black man and almost killed multiple other black community members. And they rolled out with impunity. They fucking arrested someone, 2 people, and left just like that. And they came through from every fucking side. So we need people in the zone. We need people to bring but remember, this is an autonomous zone, so we don't have leaders. We don't believe in hierarchies. We believe in people organizing horizontally, collectively. We believe in a world without police. So if you come in here with your carceral mentality, kill that fucking cop in your head, but recognize that community defense is the future. Because we say, no justice, no peace, no justice, no streets, no fascists, no police. Because in the end, what is it about? It's about us meeting basic needs. It's about us providing mutual aid to each other. So there are many people you can talk to, myself, this comrade here, about how you can show up in this zone. But this zone is a part of a much larger struggle. We're talking about global solidarity. We're talking about 250 million workers, laborers, peasants on strike in India. We're talking about people throwing down to destroy the corrupt regime in Belarus. We're talking about revolutionary struggle against the cops in Nigeria. We're talking about the fight against colonialism in Turtle Island, north of us and south of us. So we have to remember everything going on here reverberates out, and likewise shit happening elsewhere impacts us. Learn from the past. We're talking about the Iron Range. Again, the Masabi strike, that shit was legendary. They had a huge militant contingent that went up against the biggest corporations of the time, the most ruthless, bloodthirsty, racist bosses, who at that point, Salma made a good point, they weaponized white supremacy, because that's how you hold down the workers. You divide and conquer. We can't do that shit anymore. We have to unite. We're talking about people. Tazaya mentioned those who are traitors. We need race traitors. If you're white, be a traitor to white supremacy.
Yeah.
Because who is the enemy? It's white supremacy.
White supremacy.
Fuck that shit. And also,
Who is the enemy?
white
White
supremacy.
supremacy.
We see these motherfuckers, these chuds, maggots, whatever the fuck you want to call them, fascists, is acceptable. That we can go harder on them. They have been congregating in St. Paul since November. They have been spreading their fucking filth and their Blue Lives Matter bullshit, their bootlicking asses all over the place. And they did their dumb shit in DC earlier this month. But now we're pushing back. You'll see this banner out. It's been some places. It scared the living shit out of some of these stupid chuds. We're going to be back Saturday, January 30th at noon in Cass Gilbert Park in St. Paul.
Show up.
To show the fascists and the pigs who protect them, because there are pigs who are fascists, and then there are fascists who wish they were pigs, and they're all the same in the end. They're all enemies. So we're going to show up and kick their asses in St. Paul. So you should show up next Saturday.
Show up and show out.
And one last thing, because we're talking about global total abolition. We've had insane repression of the movement here in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Just recently, New Year's Eve, there was an unwarranted show of aggression from MPD, Murder's Police Department. Fuck them pigs. They rolled in and they kettled and brutally arrested multiple community members, and now the defense needs everyone on board. We need you to be out there telling these motherfuckers, these politicians who claim to be for defund and community control, they're all full of shit, but we need you all to organize. Anti-repression is the answer. We need to make sure no one is left behind, no one is suffering the criminal injustice system. There's no justice in the criminal injustice system. We have to make sure they have support. So you can talk to us also about how to throw down for the New Year's Eve arrestees. And before that, there were those who were arrested on Election Day, or like the day after Election Day. There's a lot of shit going on.
Bunch of
So
fucking political arrests.
it's fucked up.
They were given felony arrests for this shit, and they were arrested and they were kept in jail and humiliated for a long period of time. And what happened to the Capitol? They were allowed to fucking leave. People went in jail on Monday, got out on Thursday.
Yeah.
They stole government materials, and they were allowed to go free.
Yeah.
And these people were brutalized.
Yeah, it's fucked up, double standards, but at the same time, we know the enemy is white supremacy. We know fascists do this shit, and they'll always be protected and coddled.
Fuck the cops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cops and Klan go hand in hand. They can both fuck off. But we need people to show up and support those facing political and legal repression. So we're going to hand this over to some of the comrades who have been involved in multiple areas of struggle, from here in the cities against the vicious forces of white supremacy to the colonizers up north pushing the pipeline. Here's Jessica of the Workers' Defense Alliance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Oh, thank you. Oh my, so friendly. I'll take it. So, just a little bit about myself before we dive deep into things. My name is Jessica Garraway. I consider myself an anarchist, a land and water protector, anti-colonial resistor. I was very active in Standing Rock, formed a crew in Iowa. We're called Mississippi Stand, where we did actions, we did blockades, we did lockdowns, doing everything we could to prevent boring under the Mississippi River. Unfortunately, they did eventually bore into the river, but we did cost energy trends for millions of dollars. And I would say our efforts from DAPL to Keystone have been a really important part of seeing pipelines left and right being canceled across the country. Yes. Even talks of Green New Deal, even though obviously if it's not abolishing capitalism, it doesn't go further enough, but still came out of the grassroots resistance of the people. So it's important to remember, oops, okay, I'm not using those. It's important to remember that any changes that happen are because of us. It's because of our resistance that politicians are forced to concede to our demands. So I don't thank Biden for canceling Keystone. That was us. That was our victory. I'm also active in the fight against Line 3 right now. A couple of days ago, I went up north, and there were two people went into the trenches deep down where they want to put the pipeline through and occupied that for hours. So those folks are out of jail. That was an action. That was, I would say, a very good action. But the resistance is still ongoing up north, and people could really use that support as well. Even if it means donating your time. If you can't go up there and get arrested, there's plenty of things to do. If you want to talk more about that afterwards, free to do that.
That's right.
Another movement I've been very active in is the movement against police terrorism. So if people aren't familiar with Jamar Clark was a young man in his 20s, about in 2016, correct? That was 15, thank you. In 2015, was murdered by the police while he was handcuffed on the ground. People in response surrounded the police precinct that was right down the street where he was murdered for a period of, for a period of a few weeks. We had a mix of people with different approaches, folks who wanted healing spaces, who wanted to pray. And then you had also people who frankly threw the fuck down. You know, the lessons that we've learned in that movement, in doing security and working with people in the community, are lessons that are definitely a contributor to the resistance in the wake of George Floyd's murder. So I wanted to address that. Now, when we talk, I want this also to be a conversation towards the end of when I'm done speaking. But it's really important that we understand the nature of the police. I don't want to go over it too much because of everyone here, I think, is very clear about what the role of the police is in this society. They, as we all know, they murder working class people, folks of color, indigenous people overwhelmingly. But it's bigger than that. They uphold an inherently violent system, colonialism, capitalism. Capitalism is a system that exploits working people for our labor, steals lands, exploits lands, treats land and water and other living beings like objects to be sold and destroyed for profit. It treats the living world like it's dead, and therefore the increased profits of those in the ruling class. That's what the police uphold.
They uphold that system. So when people are talking about, well, we should reform the police, this is a contradiction that can't be reformed.
Right.
Every movement in this country and globally, whether you look at the labor movement, environmental movement, movement for racial, ethnic justice, the police are on the front lines of upholding the status quo. I don't know of a situation. I was arguing with someone who says they're on the left online, and he was saying, well, the left's attitude towards the police is really immature. We're going to need to get them on our side. The thing is, right, like, what social movement and our labor movement in this country have the police laid down the batons and joined the people? I can't think of one. Can you please educate me? He didn't educate me, he blocked me. But that happens. You know what I mean? That happens, I guess, you know? So we're then at the conclusion that, well, this is not an institution that can be reformed. We must abolish it. But then so we're all, most of us here, same page. We must abolish. But then we have more questions that follow is like, how do we do that? How do we do that, right? We have to be really honest about the state of abolition in the dominant political sphere in the minds of everyday people. Most black and brown indigenous folks in this country are not abolitionists. Most of them do not agree with abolition. Most of them think it's a ridiculous, ludicrous idea. And we have to be honest about that. That means that we have a lot more organizing work to do to get people on track with us. Oh, okay, let's go down. Sorry about that. We have a lot more work to do to get people on track with us. Part of it is questions like, well, and another thing I should note, the crime bill of the 1990s that Democrats are rightfully attacked for supporting. I mean, we got to be honest about that too. A lot of the demands for more policing in the streets Democrats pushed it, but it did also come from black and brown people who were upset with the upheaval that capitalism has caused in their communities. We have to then work with people to understand that the violence, gang violence, theft of personal, not private, but personal property, all those things are a result of capitalism. They're a result of a system that abuses and uses us. And those problems aren't going to go away with more police. In the 80s, they had something approach to policing called the broken windows policy. Basically this idea that, well, we need to come really hard on petty crime. So sex workers and people who are using drugs or alcohol or things of that matter, we need to come down hard on them, and that's how we keep our communities safe. I personally don't think the proponents of that policy really believe that true in their heart. I think that was just a way of incarcerating black, brown, and working class people after jobs left. A lot of good jobs left and were sent to other countries where people could be exploited. I mean, that's the role prisons play, right? We don't have free housing, but there is a place for that. They have a place for you to go.
Yeah.
And that's the role of prisons in this country, is dealing with the total lack of jobs that can help working people to support themselves and their families. And yeah, so it's a holding cell for people who are used and abused within capitalism, and that there's no place for them. So I'm saying a lot of things, but I guess another point I want to raise about what it takes to get to abolition. We can't do it from the top down.
That's right.
We can't vote for the right people to get abolition. We can't get the right politicians on our side to pass a bill or a measure that says we're going to defund the police, we're going to get rid of the police. Like, that's not possible. And that's why you've seen in some of these city council meetings, you have seen a lot of black and brown working class people go into those meetings and say, no, we don't support that. We actually want more police. And that is an indictment
and I just say this first to be fully honest, indictment of our movement and the need that we need to be working with people. We need to be working with people and helping them have real alternatives. So, for instance, something I say is that, okay, I'm not against community defense forces that are of the community, by the community, are there to protect the community. That's fine, but that's not what the police are. They're beholden to the state, they're beholden to capitalists, and that's why we can't reform it. So I just want to, with that, I've said a lot of things, kind of open it up, like, what do you think, understanding that the majority of people aren't currently abolitionists, what are the sorts of things we could be doing to get people on our side, to move in that direction? This is something I think is really important for us to center ourselves and think about. So does anyone want to popcorn an idea? It's not just one idea. Yeah.
Community defense.
Community defense. And yeah, community defense. And, you know, this space is defended by people in the community. So that work is, you know, autonomous spaces. This is an autonomous space. Fighting to get cops out of schools. That's something that Minneapolis Public Schools has decided to do. And that's a victory for the police abolition movement. Someone else back there? Yeah. Yes.
And it takes a lot of effort, and I know in organizing, that's like the least fun thing to do. I mean, you walking up and down these streets all day, you're tired, you're talking to random motherfuckers who don't want to hear it, but it's worth it because we have to build relationships. Because whenever this system falls, we only have each other.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you for all of that.
Yes.
Also organizing in our workplaces too, talking with our coworkers about, you know, what the role of police are. There was a strike recently in New York, right? And people learn the best. Most people learn the best through the experiences that they've gained through struggle. So seeing that direct action, so seeing the role of the police abundantly clear when workers are striking, when people are resisting these disgusting pipelines. I mean, you know, so when those things happen, we should be there to provide those connections to people, provide that analysis of, like, you see what their role is now, right? Yeah, you had your hand up. Yes. Yes. Wow.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. So when workers and people are on strike, go to the picket line, support them, bring some coffee, bring some warm food, and let's have some real conversations about abolition. When I think of the St. Paul refinery folks, let's have some real conversations about what it takes to get to a green, just transition away from working with fossil fuels. Helping people understand that, no, we are a united front. We're going to do this together, right? Are there any other comments people want to make before I...
Also stand on the picket line with them.
Yes. Fight with them.
Organize your workplaces.
Yeah, be an accomplice, not an ally.
Yeah.
And recognize that most of these struggles are your struggle.
Yeah.
And then make sure you know your fucking neighbors.
Yeah.
That's like the most important thing that you can do is know your neighbors and talk with your neighbors, because if we don't have police, like, you need to know who you live around and who actually is in your neighborhood and what kind of people those people are, and if they stand with you or if they stand against you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Building on that, spread knowledge of and actually use transformative justice principles for resolving conflicts.
Mm-hmm. Yep, transformative justice. Well, I wanted to hear what other people's thoughts are, because I don't have all the answers, that's for sure.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, I know. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to really stress kind of for us to really be thinking about where we are at as a movement and what it's going to take to get people on our side. And we should not be discouraged, because movements are made of people that are that seed from which people's consciousness and actions sprout from, right? We may be in the more minority right now, but that's not going to be like that forever, especially the more we start engaging with our coworkers, the more we start engaging with people in our community, and the more that we start providing alternatives outside of the fucking police. All right, thank you so much.
So much, Jessica. I just want to say something because you're really inspiring and you're making me think about stuff. Like, people start at different places, right? Like you were talking about how people recognize the revolution like when they're in a struggle, and that's often why we don't see a lot of white people at first. You know, they're not experiencing the struggle.
Yeah.
And so you gotta like meet people where they're at, where they can empathize, where they can see with it, and it sucks sometimes because you're like, why don't you just fucking know? But like even I think about myself. I was sold the lie of white supremacy. A lot of us were. We grow up with it. It's all around us. I'm half Mexican. I'm white passing. I was told to like be white, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's how I survive. That's how I get ahead.
Yep.
Try to like hide who I am.
Yep.
And just blend in.
Whitewash.
There's a lot of people that feel that way, and then even like within that, they're like, how dark you are. There's like infighting between the color, and that's so sad. It's so fucked.
Yeah.
And like, so just kind of, I feel like at the core of a lot of what everybody is saying, the core is like, you know, they say the revolution is love or whatever. That sounds kind of like hippy dippy whatever, but it is, because like the core of white supremacy is greed.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is caring about each other, about giving a shit about people.
Yeah.
Going outside and talking to your neighbor and actually reacting if they need help because you know them and you like them and you have a relationship and you're depending on each other. You're interdependent, right? You're not like, it's not about leave everybody alone so they can be alone to thrive. You're interdependent. You're independent and dependent. Cooperation. Yeah. Like I learned so much from doing community defense out here. I met so many of my neighbors from all over this area. And I cannot think of a time where I've never ever felt as connected with the place I live as right now. And it's huge. I wish that this happened everywhere. It's fucking crazy to me. Like, I don't know. Imagining a world without police can be daunting, but it can also be so freeing. It's like such a space for creativity because we haven't had it. I haven't experienced a world without police. Fuck. It's fun to imagine. It's scary because shit happens. People hurt each other. Greed occurs. Fear occurs. Crimes of desperation happen. It's gonna be